Module 4. Contain dust during work. Overview. What is containment? Containing dust for interior activity. Containing dust for exterior activity. What is containment? In general, there are many degrees of containment ranging from simple plastic sheathing on the floor surrounding a small work area to a fully enclosed space. Some types of containment are more effective than other types. For purposes of this training, containment is what is required under the RRP rule to prevent dust and debris from spreading beyond the work area to non-work areas. Containing the work area includes removing objects and furniture from the work area and covering them with plastic sheathing, covering floors or the ground with plastic sheathing a minimum distance beyond the surfaces being renovated, 6 feet for interior jobs and 10 feet for exterior jobs. Vertical containment is required for any exterior renovation within 10 feet of a property line. Larger areas of disposable plastic sheathing may also be necessary to prevent the spread of dust. Smaller areas of containment may be used if additional precautions such as vertical containment are used to stop the spread of dust and minimize the area of cleanup. Closing windows and doors and using plastic sheathing to seal doors and air ducts in the work area. Covering doors used to enter the work area with plastic sheathing in a manner that allows workers to pass through, but containing the dust and debris within the work area. Containment is required by the RRP rule because it reduces the risk to you and residents. Following the work area setup requirements for this module will protect you and your coworkers and residents by confining lead-contained dust and debris to a defined and demarcated area. Confining the lead is an important consideration in avoiding exposure. Reducing the risk to you and coworkers also dependent upon the use of personal protective equipment. Facilitate sufficient cleaning of the work area. The work setup process is essential to keeping lead contaminated dust confined to the work area where it can be easily cleaned. Proper containment of the work area helps to limit the area you need to clean after the job is complete. Knowing exactly what to clean is an important factor in saving time and money spent on a cleanup. Keep dust within the containment. If you do not plan and contain the work area correctly, the dust and debris created by renovation can spread beyond the minimum contained area required by the RRP rule. This means that for interior locations, dust may migrate more than 6 feet from the surface being renovated, or for exterior locations, dust may migrate more than 10 feet from the surface being renovated. Controlling dust and debris may require more extensive containment than is specified if the rule while you're doing the job, so plan accordingly. These are minimum and suggestions that EPA has provided you, and you may need more than 6 feet of plastic in the interior beyond the renovation area. In general, renovations that involve only a small amount of paint disturbance creates less dust than jobs that involve large areas of paint disturbance. However, in addition to the size of area of paint disturbed, the work practices and equipment used will also affect how much dust is being created and how the dust will be migrating. The location of the work activity also has a bearing on the amount of dust that is being disturbed. For example, small areas of ceiling work can spread dust over the entire room and are very difficult to control. Required containment is similar to for all jobs, but jobs that generate more dust and debris may require protection of larger areas, while the RRP rule does not require vertical containment except for projects within 10 feet of a property line. These systems may be helpful in limiting the size of the area affected by the work and reduce the area that must be cleaned after the end of the job. Pre-engineered containment systems, purchased or homemade, are very helpful in cutting time spent on the job erecting the containment, and are easier to install than hanging plastic up with tape. These systems also allow the contractor to create a sealed room within a room where the dust can be completely contained for a limited amount of time and within a limited controlled area. Examples of dusty jobs include hand scraping large areas, removing paint with a low temperature heat gun and scraper, removing dry residue and paint after using chemical strippers, demolishing painted surfaces, removing building components with painted surfaces that are in poor condition. Remember, you are responsible for making sure that dust and debris remain inside of the contained work area. When planning containment, keep in mind how much, and where the work practices to be used will create or generate dust, and plan accordingly. Vertical containment. What is a vertical containment? It is a barrier consisting of plastic sheathing or other impermeable material over scaffolding or a rigid frame, or an equivalent system of containing the work area. Vertical containment is required for some exterior renovations, but it may be used for any renovation. It is not required for an interior job, but the use may help you limit the work area and the cleanup area after you're done. Floor containment measures may stop at the edge of the vertical barrier when using a vertical containment system consisting of impermeable barriers that extend from the floor to the ceiling and are tightly sealed at joints with floor, ceiling, and walls. Is vertical containment required for exterior jobs? Yes. Vertical containment or an equivalent system of containing the work area is required for exterior jobs where the property line is within 10 feet of the work area. In addition, vertical containment can also be used to minimize the amount of ground containment needed for a project. Ground containment measures may stop at the edge of the vertical barrier when using a vertical containment system. Vertical containment in larger yards are not required, but you may decide to use it at any time. You need a minimum of 10 feet of plastic in all directions, but you may construct a vertical containment at any location that you desire. Interior containment. Limit access and post signs. Restrict access to the work area and notify residents to stay away while work is underway. Restricting access to the work area will protect residents, especially children and pregnant women, from unnecessary exposures to leaded dust and will minimize the spread of dust to work areas. Before the job starts, notify the residents not to enter the work area and to stay away from the vicinity of the entrance to the work area as much as possible. Residents and pets coming and going can easily track lead-contaminated dust into non-work areas throughout the home. Non-work areas will likely not be cleaned up promptly or properly. Restricting exposure is especially important for small children under 6 years old and for pregnant women. Be sure to explain to residents that restricting access is for their own protection and that small children and pregnant women are most at risk for health problems from exposure to lead. You must provide an indication of how long you will be working in a particular area so that residents can plan ahead to obtain items that they may need from the work area before you begin working. Do not allow eating, drinking, or smoking in a work area. This is primarily for the worker protection, but it's also important if residents are living near the work area. Post signs that discourage eating, drinking, and smoking. Dust in the air can land on food and be inhaled when smoking. If food is set on a dust contaminated surface, it can easily be picked up and the lead contaminated dust can be ingested. Post warning signs. Before beginning the renovation, post a sign for the residents in their native language to warn them or other persons not involved in a renovation activity to remain outside of the work area. Signs must remain in place and be readable through the completion of the renovation and the post-renovation cleaning verification. A warning sign must be posted at each entry to a work area or at each main and secondary entryway to a building from which occupants have been relocated. Interior containment. Remove or cover belongings. When practicable, remove belongings and furniture from the work area. It is desirable to remove all objects from the work area, including furniture, rugs, and window coverings. Removal is the best option for protecting occupant items from contamination and for reducing post-renovation cleanup. If it can be moved out of the work area, remove it. If it can't be removed, cover it. Cover all objects that were not removed from the work area in a protective sheathing. Seal the seams and edges with tape. Completely cover all immovable furniture, carpets, or other personal items with protective sheathing. Secure protective sheathing to the floor with tape so that no dust can get onto the covered items. Interior containment. Cover floors. Use protective sheathing to cover all work area floors, including installed carpets. The protective sheathing must extend a minimum of 6 feet to the left, right, and front, and in some cases, to the back. It should be tightly secured to the baseboard or flooring using duct tape, painter's tape, or masking tape. The corner edge of the protective sheathing should be reinforced using the duct tape or a staple. If vertical containment is used, floor containment measures may stop at the edge of the vertical containment. Take special precautions with carpets in the work area. Carpets collect a lot of dust and are very difficult to clean. Consider covering shoes with a removable shoe cover, wiping off the tops of the shoes and soles of the shoes with a damp paper towel each time you step off sheathing, or using a disposable tack pad can remove the dust from the soles. Immediately place used paper towels in a covered garbage bin. A tack pad is a sticky pad that you walk on to remove dust from the soles of your shoes. They are disposable and should be changed daily. You may find that using a HEPA vacuum to clean off shoes and clothing is necessary in controlling carry-away dust when personnel leave the work area. This is called dry decon and works very well when utilized. A second, smaller layer of protective sheathing should be used with chemical strippers. The second layer should be taped to the top of the first layer. When the second layer is immediately removed from the work area, it should be captured and put into a waste bin. Use precautions to ensure that all personnel, tools, and other items, including the exteriors of waste containers, are free of dust and debris before removing them from the work area. A container of cheap hand or baby wipes is quite useful for such cleaning. Interior containment. Close windows, doors, and HVAC. Close all windows within the work area. When conducting window replacements from the inside, considering attaching plastic sheathing to the exterior of the window to prevent spread of the dust and debris to the ground or other surfaces under the window. If window replacement affects both interior and exterior surfaces, then set up containment both in the interior and exterior. For dusty jobs, it is strongly recommended that you seal work area windows with protective sheathing to prevent dust from getting into the throws or onto the sill, making it harder to clean. When sealing windows, cut plastic sheathing layers slightly larger than the window that you are covering. Attach the plastic sheathing with tape over the window to completely seal it. Make sure that the tape or the sheathing does not cover part of the area to which you are working. Close and seal doors. Close all doors, including closet and cabinet doors, in the work area and cover with the plastic sheathing. Doors used as an entrance to the work must be covered with plastic sheathing or other impermeable material in a manner that allows workers to pass through while confining dust and debris to the work area. As an alternative to putting up plastic, doors may be shut and sealed with painter's tape. Close and seal HVAC vents. Heating, ventilating, and air conditioning (HVAC) systems distribute air throughout the building and thus can also carry dust to other rooms. If possible, turn off the HVAC system for the work area. Close the HVAC supply and return vents in the work area and then cover them tightly with plastic sheathing to prevent air from blowing through the dust into the system or throughout your work area. Interior containment, work area entry doorway. A physical barrier such as a cone or a warning tape can be placed outside of the entry to remind residents to stay away from the work area, especially in buildings where more than one family lives. The double layers of plastic on the entry door or other barriers serve as a reminder to residents that people and pets should not enter the work area, and also signals that the area has not yet been cleaned up. When the work area boundary includes a door used to access the work area, cover the door with 2 layers of protective sheathing as described. Set up a 2-layer entry barrier with closable flaps at the entry to the work area so that workers can pass through but dust and debris can stay in the work area. Cut the first plastic sheathing layer slightly wider and longer, 3 inches, than the door frame. Make an S fold at the top of the sheathing and tape it to the top of the door frame. Make a similar S fold at the bottom of the sheathing and tape it to the floor. This will ensure that the plastic is not too tight. Secure the top corners to the door frame for reinforcement. For exiting and entering the room, tape a vertical line about the size of a man from the floor to the header of both sides. Cut a long vertical slit through the tape in the middle of the protective sheathing. Leave about 6 inches at the top and bottom uncut. Reinforce the top and bottom from the slit with tape to prevent the plastic from tearing. Tape a second layer of protective sheathing to the top of the door frame. This layer is cut slightly shorter than the door frame so that it will hang down flat against the first sheet of plastic. Tape and secure the top corners of the second layer to the door frame and the first layer. Leave it to hang over the first layer. Wait at the bottom of the flat with a dowel to keep it in place. If needed, another weighted flap can be added to the other side to create a third layer. See Appendix 5 for the steps to lead-safe renovation, repair, and painting for more information on how to put a two-door layer system. Overview of interior containment steps. The goal of these interior containment practices is to prevent dust and debris from escaping the work area. RRP rule has general requirements. Number 1, posted signs. These must be posted on all sides of the work area. To define the work area, must be in primary language of occupants, must be posted before the beginning of the renovation, and remain until the cleaning verification. Number 2, contain the work area. Before the renovation, isolate the work area to prevent the escape of dust. During the work, maintain the containment integrity and ensure the containment does not interfere with occupant or worker egress from the home or work area. Number 3, remove or cover furniture and objects. Remove objects such as furniture, rugs, window coverings, or cover them with plastic sheathing with all seams and edges taped. Number 4, cover floors. All floors, especially the carpet floors, should be covered with a minimum of 6 feet of plastic in all directions. Number 5, close windows, close and seal doors. Within the work area, you may close the windows, you may close the doors and seal them with painter's tape, or you can put a sheathing of plastic over it if you desire. Number 6, cover duct openings. All HVACs should be covered, either intakes or regular vents, because you can actually transfer the dust from one room to the other. Remove dust and debris from everything leaving the work area. Use precaution to ensure that all personnel, tools, and other items are free from dust, debris before being removed from the work area. Exterior containment. Establish the work area. Cover the ground with protective sheathing. Lay protective sheathing on the ground below the work area and at least 10 feet from the house, unless the property line prevents the 10 feet to be covered, and in that case, you must install a vertical containment. Make sure that it's a disposable plastic sheathing. Make sure that you cover all plants. But before that, make sure that you remove all furnitures, grills, toys. If you can't remove them, then you must cover them. Staple or tape the protective sheathing to the wall or building and use a 2x4 wrapped in a protective sheathing to hold the edge of the plastic in place. When using ladders or plastic sheathing, you can cut through the plastic sheathing in order to install the ladder, and once you're done, tape those holes. Remember, children often play in the dirt and put their hands in their mouth while playing. Dirt, dust, and debris on their hands will go in through their mouth, and it may be swallowed, and that's how their lead level becomes a hazard. So make sure to clean up after yourself. Limit work access to the work area by placing orange cones and sawhorses and warning tape around a 20-foot perimeter. So again, the plastic, it's a minimum of 10 feet from your work area, but the warning signs and limiting access to the work area is a 20-foot perimeter. You can plastic up to the 20-foot perimeter or notification, or beyond that point. These are minimums. You can move your work area to a 20-30 feet, and then immediately thereafter limit your work area with a rope or the warning tape, but definitely no entry. Erect a vertical containment. It's required if the property line is within 10 feet of the work area. If it is not, then you can just do the plastic and then do the notification or limit the work access. Tape immediately thereafter. Exterior work area daily cleaning. It is critical to clean up after yourself when debris is collected, but with a minimum of once a day cleaning. Exterior containment, close windows and doors. All windows and doors within 20 feet of the edges of the work area should be closed to prevent dust from entering the home. So any windows and doors within the edges of 20 feet from the work area and below you should be closed and sealed. On a multi-story buildings, close all doors and windows within 20 feet of renovation of the same floor, renovation, and below the area designated as the work area. Establish 2 layers of plastic sheathing on the doors in work areas being used during the job. So any doors that are being utilized as entry doors should also have a double layer, double sheathing system. Exterior containment, things to consider. Jobs needing additional steps. Some jobs may require additional steps to avoid the spread of dust to the rest of the property or to adjacent properties. These jobs might include work in high winds that can carry dust out of the work area and work conducted on upper levels of a building during which even light winds can spread dust beyond the containment as it falls. A dust cone opens up the higher you are. So if your work area is 20-30 feet up, the dust cone at the bottom is much larger than possibly the 10 feet of plastic that you have placed. It is your responsibility to account for these things. EPA provides you a minimum of 10 feet of plastic sheathing requirement from the edges of the work area, but the cone might not be enough, so you have to go beyond that. Extend the work area. The simplest solution is to extend the ground coverage with plastic sheathing beyond that. Avoid high winds where possible. Be wary of windy conditions on days with high winds. It is not advisable to perform dust creating work during high winds. EPA does not have a wind requirement. If you're within a containment and you can work, it's possible. If it is a HUD funded project, HUD has a 20 mile per hour maximum. So if you're working on a HUD project and it's beyond 20 miles per hour wind, you have to stop that project or postpone it until the wind subside. Overview of exterior containment steps. Very similar to the interior steps covered earlier. The RRP rule exterior containment general requirements have a few steps. Number 1, posted signs. They must be posted to keep people out of the work area. Again, from the inside of the property going to the exterior, you should have a sign to limit access. You should also have within the perimeter a minimum of 20 feet from the work area with signage preventing people from entering your work area. Number 2, contain the work area. Before renovations, isolate the work area to prevent the escape of dust. So make sure you put the sheathing. Number 3, close doors and windows 20 feet from the edges of the work area in both directions and below you. Number 4, doors used as entrances, they must have that double plastic sheathing system. Number 5, cover the ground with the plastic sheathing 10 feet in all directions. If you're going to use any kind of paint stripper, make sure that you use a minimum of 2 layers of sheathing so you can remove the top layer once you're done using the stripper, and the bottom layer can always remain until the work has been completed. Number 6, ensure that the dust and debris do not contaminate or migrate to adjacent areas and properties. Whenever waste or debris is collected, remove it from the work site and clean up a minimum of once a day. Hands-on exercises, interior and exterior containment. At some point within your class, you will be working on creating containments. The exercise gives you a chance to practice setting up the work area signs, barriers, and containment. Follow the instructions in each skill set. Your instructor may choose to also demonstrate some skills or also break you into groups of 2 to 6 students. Your instructor may assign your group to an area to perform a setup activity or to use certain tools. Debrief of hands-on exercise. During your hands-on exercise and after, discuss what's difficult, what's common, what have you been doing in your projects thus far, and what will you be adding to your future projects after today's class. So now you know how to set up for a job, an interior containment or an exterior containment. In the next module, we're going to discuss how to use lead-safe work practices during your job.